In a world where noise is constant, where everyone has an opinion, and where the pressure to respond and react is louder than ever, silence stands as a beacon of strength and wisdom. We are surrounded by a culture that thrives on immediate reactions, instant feedback, and constant conversation. The expectation is that we must always have something to say, always have an answer ready, always respond to every provocation or challenge. But here's the truth. There is incredible power in choosing silence. Silence is often misunderstood. Many see it as passive or weak, as if it means being disengaged or indifferent. But silence is far from that. Silence is not an absence of thought, it is the presence of control. It's not the lack of words, but the intentional decision not to use them unless they carry purpose, power, and wisdom. It's the ability to hold space for yourself, to stay rooted in your truth, and to avoid being swept up in the emotional waves of the world around you. In moments when life tries to drag you into conflict, when others provoke you with harsh words or actions, silence is a powerful tool. It's not about staying silent because you have nothing to say. It's about choosing to stay silent because you understand that not every battle requires a response. You are fully aware that the moment you react, you are giving your energy, your peace, and your power away. Have you ever noticed how often we rush to respond? Whether it's to defend ourselves, to explain, or to correct someone's perception, we feel an inherent pressure to speak up. Yet, have you also noticed how many times you regret what you've said because it came from an impulsive place? We often speak without considering the long-term effects of our words. But silence isn't about holding back out of fear or avoidance. It's about gaining the clarity to decide when and how to speak in a way that matters. Silence gives you the time to process, to evaluate, and to decide if your words will move things forward or if they will just add to the noise. When you choose silence, you also gain space for reflection. You remove yourself from the emotional immediacy of a situation and take a step back. In that space, you can breathe, you can think, and you can make decisions from a place of calmness rather than reacting from a place of chaos. How many times have we said things in the heat of the moment that we wish we could take back? How many times have we gotten caught up in someone else's drama, only to find ourselves regretting that we allowed our emotions to control our actions? Silence is the antidote to this kind of knee-jerk reaction. It is the act of choosing to pause before you respond, allowing you to speak from a place of power, not emotion. Silence is also a reflection of your self-discipline. Think about it. When you are provoked, when someone challenges you or insults you, the natural instinct is to retaliate, to defend, or to prove that you are right. But choosing silence is a conscious act of controlling that instinct. It is the refusal to let someone else's behavior dictate how you feel. When you remain silent in the face of provocation, you send a clear message. I am not controlled by external circumstances. You are affirming that your peace is more important than engaging in drama, that your time and energy are too valuable to waste on something or someone that doesn't serve your highest good. This doesn't mean that you don't care or that you are indifferent to what's happening around you. Quite the opposite. Silence requires a deep sense of self-awareness. It requires knowing when to speak up and when to remain still. Sometimes the most powerful message you can send to someone is not through your words, but through your silence. When others try to provoke you or draw you into conflict, your silence can speak volumes. It says, I don't need to prove myself to you. It says, I am not here to fight your battles. It says, I am secure enough in who I am that I don't need your approval or validation. Silence also creates space for the truth to emerge. When you stop talking, the truth has a chance to come to the surface. Think about conversations where everyone is talking over each other. Everyone is trying to be heard, but no one is actually listening. It's in these noisy, chaotic exchanges that real communication often gets lost. But when you remain silent, you create a space for others to speak, for others to reveal themselves. And often, it's in the quiet that we truly hear what is being said. In today's fast-pacing world, it's easy to forget just how valuable peace truly is. We live in an age where noise, both external and internal, surrounds us at every turn. Our devices ping with constant notifications. Social media pulls us in with endless streams of information, and the expectations of others often feel like an unrelenting weight on our shoulders. With all of this chaos, it's easy to lose sight of one fundamental truth. Your peace is priceless. Peace isn't something that can be bought or sold. It's not something that can be obtained from external sources like material wealth, status, or approval. Peace is an internal state of being. It's the calm amidst the storm. It's the ability to remain grounded and centered even when the world around you is in turmoil. And in this noisy, turbulent world, your peace is one of the most precious things you will ever have. Many of us spend so much time trying to please others, trying to prove ourselves, trying to chase after things that we think will bring us happiness. We hustle, we work, we strive, and yet we often find ourselves exhausted, anxious, and disconnected. We let the demands of life, the expectations of others, and the noise of the world take a toll on our peace. But the truth is, when you give away your peace to the world, you are left with nothing but exhaustion. Your peace is not meant to be surrendered. It is not a commodity to be bartered for approval or recognition. It is a treasure that you must protect fiercely, because when your peace is gone, everything else follows. Without peace, you lose clarity, you lose the ability to make calm decisions, you lose the ability to hear your inner voice, that quiet whisper that tells you what's right for you. And when peace is gone, you lose the ability to connect with others in a meaningful way. Think of it this way. When you allow your peace to be stolen by toxic people, by unnecessary drama, by the pressures of life, you are allowing yourself to be consumed by things that don't serve you. Peace isn't just the absence of noise or conflict. It's the presence of clarity, security, and well-being. It's the knowing that regardless of what's going on around you, you are okay. And when you lose that, you lose the ability to truly live in the moment, to experience life in its fullness. You are no longer a calm force in your own life. You're swept along by the currents of other people's agendas and emotional chaos. That's why it's so important to understand that your peace is not negotiable. You cannot put a price on it. It is not worth sacrificing for the sake of others' expectations or demands. And yet, how many times do we do just that? How often do we allow others to rob us of our peace? Whether it's through their negativity, their drama, or their inability to respect our boundaries. How often do we give away our peace because we don't want to rock the boat or we want to avoid conflict? But here's the thing. Peace is not found in the absence of conflict. Peace is found in your ability to remain centered even when there's chaos around you. It is the deep-rooted assurance that no matter what happens, you can handle it. Peace is about knowing your worth, knowing your boundaries, and knowing when to walk away from things that threaten your well-being. It's the ability to say, I choose peace over this situation, over this argument, over this drama. When you realize that your peace is priceless, you start making different choices. You begin to understand that you don't have to engage in every battle. You don't have to fight for everyone's approval. You don't have to answer every criticism. You begin to understand that not everything deserves your energy. Some things, some people, some situations are just not worth your peace. Let me give you an example. Have you ever been in a heated argument, and then after the argument was over, you realized that you didn't even care about the issue anymore? You didn't even care about winning the argument, but you had lost your peace in the process. That's the price of engaging in unnecessary conflict. It costs you your peace, and often for no real reason. The moment you begin to understand the true value of your peace, you'll start to make better decisions about where you direct your energy. But protecting your peace doesn't just mean avoiding conflict. It also means prioritizing self-care. Your peace isn't just about what's happening around you, it's about what's happening within you. It's about taking the time to nourish your soul, to care for your mind, and to replenish your spirit. When you protect your peace, you are investing in your own well-being. You are acknowledging that you are worthy of calm, rest, and restoration. You are deserving of a life that isn't dictated by external stressors, by the demands of others, or by the constant pressures of life. And here's a radical thought. You don't need anyone's permission to protect your peace. Too often, we seek validation for the choices we make to preserve our peace. We wonder if it's okay to say no, if it's okay to walk away from toxic relationships, if it's okay to take time for ourselves. The answer is simple. Yes, it's okay. It's not only okay, it's necessary. You have every right to safeguard your peace. You have every right to set boundaries that protect your energy and your mental health. The more you prioritize your peace, the more you realize that it's not just something to be protected, it's something to be cultivated. You can create peace in your life by choosing where to place your focus. You can choose to focus on what brings you joy, what nurtures your soul, and what lifts you up. You can choose to let go of negativity, to release toxic thoughts, and to distance yourself from environments that drain you. Peace is not something that just happens. It's something you create, something you protect, and something you choose to preserve above all else. It is a priceless asset, one that you must guard with everything you have. The moment you realize the true value of your peace, you stop giving it away so freely. You begin to understand that no relationship, no job, no situation, no person is worth sacrificing your inner tranquility. So remember this: your peace is priceless. Protect it, cherish it, and don't let anyone take it from you, because without peace, nothing else matters. Your peace is the foundation from which everything else in your life can grow. If you lose your peace, you lose everything. But when you hold on to it, when you guard it fiercely, you create a life that is grounded, fulfilling, and in alignment with your deepest values. Reactions are a natural part of being human. Every day we encounter situations that provoke us, whether it's an inconsiderate comment, a misunderstanding, or a sudden conflict. And in those moments, our instincts often push us toward an immediate response. It's an automatic reflex. Something happens and we react. It feels natural, almost like second nature, to fire back with words, to defend ourselves or to justify our actions. But here's the truth. Reactions are a trap. Reactions pull us into patterns of behavior that we don't always want to be a part of. They draw us into the drama, the conflict, and the chaos of life without giving us the opportunity to step back and evaluate whether we truly want to engage. Reacting is like being in a perpetual cycle, always responding to life's challenges without ever stopping to consider if the response is in alignment with who we want to be or where we want to go. Reactions rob us of the opportunity to pause, think, and choose how to respond from a place of intention and strength. Let's explore why reactions are a trap and why they so often get the best of us. When we react, we are usually acting out of emotion, not logic. Think about the last time you got angry or upset. How many of your reactions were based on a knee-jerk emotional response without taking a moment to reflect on the situation? How often do we say things we don't mean in the heat of the moment, or act in ways that later make us cringe? Reactions come from an emotional state of mind, and emotions can cloud our judgment. When we act impulsively, we often do so without full awareness of the consequences. For example, when someone insults you or challenges you, The immediate instinct is to defend yourself, to prove that they are wrong, or to win the argument. But in that moment of reaction, you are not considering the bigger picture. You are not thinking about how your words or actions might affect the relationship, the situation, or your long-term peace of mind. Instead, you're caught in the heat of the moment, reacting from a place of ego or hurt. And in doing so, you may cause damage that wasn't necessary. The words you say in anger often do more harm than good, and once they are spoken, they can't be taken back. Reactions are also a trap because they take away your control. Think about it. When you react to someone, they are the ones controlling the situation, even if they don't realize it. By reacting, you are allowing someone else's words, actions, or emotions to dictate how you feel and how you behave. It's as if they are pulling the strings on your emotional state and you're simply a puppet to their actions. The more you react, the more you give away your power. You hand over the reins of your peace, your clarity, and your control to someone else. This is why it's so important to understand that reacting is not the same as responding. A response comes from a place of thoughtfulness, awareness, and intention. A response is a choice, a decision to act in a way that reflects your values, your boundaries, and your desires. It is a deliberate move that is guided by your inner wisdom and not by the impulsive urge to defend, justify, or attack. Reactions, on the other hand, are impulsive, driven by instinct or emotion, and often lead to outcomes we later regret. Now consider the consequences of reacting versus responding. When you react, you might feel justified in the moment, but the aftermath often leaves you feeling drained, regretful, or even more upset than before. You might win the argument, but you've lost something far more important: your peace of mind. Your peace is compromised, and now you're caught in the cycle of conflict, constantly reacting to situations rather than proactively shaping them. On the other hand, when you respond with intention, you maintain control over your emotions and your actions. You can step back, take a deep breath, and think about how you want to move forward. This gives you the chance to handle situations with grace, clarity, and wisdom. Responding allows you to protect your energy, your dignity, and your sense of self. You don't get swept up in the emotional turmoil of others. You maintain your center and act in a way that reflects the person you want to be. Reactions also trap us in a cycle of perpetual conflict. If we're always reacting, we're never truly moving forward. We're stuck in a loop, constantly defending ourselves, justifying our actions, or trying to prove our worth. The more we react, the more we invite conflict into our lives. It's like fueling a fire with more fuel. You're never allowing it to die down. But when you stop reacting and begin to respond with calmness and clarity, you break that cycle. You create space for resolution, understanding, and peace. Consider the impact that constant reactions can have on your relationships. When you are in a pattern of reacting to everything, you can become defensive, argumentative, or overly sensitive. Every word or action feels like an attack, and you are on constant alert for the next threat. This creates a tense environment in your relationships where both parties feel like they have to be on the offensive. No one wins in that kind of atmosphere. But when you stop reacting, you bring a sense of calm and stability to the relationship. You give others the space to express themselves without feeling attacked or judged, and you offer a safe space for mutual respect and understanding. Reactions also trap us in negativity. Have you ever noticed how quickly reacting can escalate a situation? One sharp word leads to another, one hurt feeling leads to more hurt feelings, and before you know it, you're deep in a conflict that started over something small. Reactions fuel negativity. They breed resentment, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. But when you stop reacting, you create space for positivity to enter. You allow yourself the opportunity to see the situation from a different perspective, to understand the other person's point of view, and to choose a more constructive path forward. Ultimately, reactions keep us stuck in the past. They keep us focused on the trigger, the hurt, the insult, the wrong. We get caught up in what happened, what was said, and what we think needs to be fixed. But when you stop reacting, you free yourself from the weight of the past. You can let go of old wounds, grudges, and frustrations. You can move forward with a clear mind and an open heart, unburdened by the past. To break free from the trap of reactions, you must train yourself to pause. Before you speak, before you act, take a moment to breathe. This small act of pause can give you the space to shift from reaction to response. It allows you to respond with grace, with wisdom, and with peace. In that moment of pause, you are reclaiming your power. You are no longer a slave to your emotions or to the actions of others. You are the one in control of your responses. In conclusion, reactions are a trap because they rob you of your power, keep you stuck in negative cycles, and lead you down paths of regret. But when you learn to respond instead of react, you gain control over your peace, your energy, and your future. You break free from the trap and choose to live with intention, clarity, and purpose. Reactions are a trap, but you don't have to fall into it. You can choose a different path. A path of calm, a path of wisdom, and a path of true freedom. One of the most misunderstood concepts in personal growth and emotional health is the idea of cutting off toxic people or distancing yourself from negative influences. So often, when we decide to end relationships, step away from certain environments, or set firm boundaries, we are accused of being bitter, angry, or unforgiving. People may say, "Why can't you just let it go?" Or, "You're holding on to grudges," as if choosing to remove ourselves from negativity is a sign of weakness or immaturity. But the truth is, cutting off doesn't mean you're bitter. In fact, it might be one of the most self-loving, self-respecting choices you can make. Cutting off toxic people or distancing yourself from unhealthy environments is not a reaction born from bitterness. It is a decision born from self-preservation. It is not about punishing the other person or trying to get back at them. It's about protecting your own mental, emotional, and spiritual health. It's about choosing to no longer engage with anything or anyone that drains your energy, poisons your peace, or holds you back from becoming the best version of yourself. The first thing we need to understand is that bitterness is not the same as setting boundaries. Bitterness is a toxic emotional state where unresolved hurt, anger, or resentment festers and controls your thoughts, actions, and decisions. Bitterness often leads to a place where you feel consumed by the past, where you're stuck in the cycle of replaying painful events over and over, holding on to grudges and grudgingly waiting for someone to pay for the wrongs done to you. Bitterness is the belief that you have to stay in the cycle of pain to continue to give energy to things that no longer serve you. It's holding on to negative emotions with the expectation that they will somehow bring closure or peace, when in fact they only keep you chained to the past. However, cutting off is different. It is an intentional act of releasing what no longer contributes to your growth or well-being. It is not about carrying unresolved hurt, but about choosing to leave behind situations or people that hinder your progress, so you can move forward with a clean slate. Cutting off isn't about being cold-hearted, angry, or vengeful. It's about recognizing that certain relationships or situations are unhealthy for you and making the empowered choice to step away from them, not out of malice, but out of a desire to preserve your peace. When you cut off someone who has hurt you, betrayed you, or consistently shown themselves to be toxic, you are not abandoning them out of bitterness. You are giving yourself the chance to heal. You are creating space for new, healthier connections. You are freeing yourself from the emotional weight that comes with staying in a toxic dynamic. It's about saying, "I choose me. I choose my peace over the chaos of this relationship. I choose my emotional well-being over trying to fix something that is beyond repair. Think of it this way. When you cut off a toxic person, it's like removing a splinter from your skin. At first, it may hurt to pull it out, but once it's gone, you begin to heal. You stop feeding the wound. But if you leave the splinter in, it will continue to infect the area, causing pain and inflammation until it spreads and worsens. Similarly, when you choose to stay in unhealthy relationships, whether it's a friendship, a romantic partnership, or even a family dynamic, you are allowing the wound to stay open. It may not seem like a big deal at first, but over time, the damage accumulates, leaving you emotionally scarred. Cutting off that toxic influence is the act of choosing to take care of yourself, to cleanse yourself from the emotional toxins that have been draining you. Cutting off doesn't mean you're better than anyone or that you think you're perfect. It simply means that you understand the value of your own emotional health, and you're no longer willing to sacrifice it for the sake of others. You understand that your well-being is your responsibility, and you choose to protect it with the same vigilance you would protect a precious treasure. Cutting off is an act of wisdom. It is about knowing when to walk away from situations that are emotionally unhealthy, that constantly drag you down, and that prevent you from growing. One of the most powerful things you can do is stop apologizing for your boundaries. People often try to make us feel guilty for choosing to cut ties or set limits with others, especially when the other person has played a significant role in our lives. But we must understand that boundaries are not punishments, they are declarations of self-respect. If someone continually disrespects you, mistreats you, or violates your boundaries, you don't owe them an explanation or justification for walking away. You are not bitter, you are simply choosing peace. Cutting off is also not about being rigid or closing yourself off to all relationships. It's about choosing to let go of the ones that are toxic, so you can make room for the ones that truly uplift you. It's about investing your time and energy into people who encourage your growth, who support you, and who add value to your life. It's about surrounding yourself with individuals who honor your worth, who respect your boundaries, and who make you feel seen and heard. Cutting off toxic people doesn't mean you're closing yourself off to love and connection. It means you are making space for healthier, more positive relationships to flourish. Furthermore, cutting off is not the same as shutting down. Sometimes people confuse the decision to cut off negative influences with emotionally shutting oneself down from the world. But choosing to cut off toxic people does not mean you are building walls around your heart. Rather, it's about protecting your heart from people who do not deserve your love, your trust, or your emotional investment. It's about recognizing that your heart is sacred, and you should not let anyone who has hurt you continue to hold a space in it. Some might argue that cutting off people is harsh, and that forgiveness requires reconciliation or maintaining ties with those who have hurt you. But forgiveness is a personal journey. It doesn't require you to stay in a relationship that continues to bring harm. You can forgive someone and still choose to walk away from them. You can forgive and choose to love them from a distance. Forgiveness doesn't mean you let them back into your life. It means you release the emotional hold they have on you, freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Cutting off is simply a reflection of that inner freedom. Remember, you are not defined by your relationships, but by how you relate to yourself. Your peace, your joy, your mental health should not be contingent upon the presence of others. When you make the decision to cut off negativity, you are choosing yourself. You are choosing peace over toxicity, growth over stagnation, love over pain. And in doing so, you're giving yourself permission to live freely, unapologetically, and authentically. So let go of the notion that cutting off makes you bitter or unforgiving. It makes you wise. It makes you strong. It makes you a person who values themselves enough to walk away from anything that threatens their peace and well-being. Cutting off is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, clarity, and the deep understanding that you are worthy of love, respect, and a life filled with positivity. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise.